So, welcome to the session. This is our second session. We are studying the book Man and His Bodies by Annie Besant. Annie Besant is a famous and popular and well-known theosophist. This is part of the Theosophy body of knowledge. So let's commit ourselves. The book is called Man and His Body. So hopefully, as we go through the book, we will learn about our many bodies. So we had done up to page 6 the last time, and I had requested please read up to page 32. I hope you've been able to do that. We will not be reading word by word. So as we flip through the pages, if there is something specific that you want to discuss that you maybe did not understand, or you have a question about, or there is an interpretation that you would like to share, please feel free to maybe put up a thumb, and then as we pause you can start, you can talk about it. All right, so we this is now on the chapter is called the physical body. Now, just a reminder, because the first line says, under the term physical body must be included the two lower principles of man. So, what are the principles of man, and what does she mean when she says the lower principles of man? So, I refer you to this diagram that we saw the last time also, the seven planes of nature, and pay attention to the lowest, there are these seven planes. Now, as you can see, each plane has several subplanes. Now, this last one, just sort of blown it up, this number 7, now you can see bigger, the physical plane. Now, the physical subplane has 7 subplanes, and the lower 3 are called the physical body, which is what we will discuss in this chapter, and the upper 4 are called the etheric double, or the etheric body, or the pranic body, or the body of prana, and so on and so forth. In Sanskrit it is called pranamay kosh. The physical body is called the annamay kosh. So this is what she is being referred to. This is another way of looking at the same thing. And if you this diagram, I think you must have seen several times. Now, if you pay attention, there is the physical body in the absolute center, and around it, closest to it, you can see the label, the etheric aura. So the etheric body, the etheric double, these are all terms that are used interchangeably for all of this. So I just wanted to remind you that this is what we are when she says the two lower principles. So what are all the principles? The various bodies. And the lower ones are the physical, really, which means the dense matter, like in this diagram, you can see dense matter and etheric matter. That is what we are talking about. And in this chapter, we will actually talk about the dense matter mostly. All right. So just a moment, please. Okay. So if we, in the next 2, 3 pages, she's talking about the fact that when she's saying physical body, when I say she, it means the author. But of course, the soul is neither male nor female. But anyway, we knew Annie Besant as in the female body, so we will say she. So when she talks about the physical body, she means the physical and the etheric. And what she's trying to tell us is that it is composed of matter or particles from the physical plane. That is what we saw in that diagram. There were those 7 subplanes. The lowest 3 comprise the dense physical body. The solid, liquid, and gas. So you are familiar. Your body, mostly what you see is the solid body, but there are liquids flowing through the body. For example, the blood, and so on and so forth. And you are also aware, most of the body, 70% of the body, I think it is said, is water. So there's a lot of water, and then of course gas is there. You are breathing in air, it's spreading, oxygen spreads throughout the body. Sometimes when the food you eat is not so good, other people also become aware of your gaseous subplane. Okay. All right. Now, another point she makes here is that it is created for one lifetime. These two bodies, and on death, what we call death, these bodies are released. And these are made up of particles from these, the lowest planes, and those particles go back into nature, into those subplanes. Now, while we are alive, that means I, the soul, or you, the soul, and we are using these bodies. Which bodies? Physical body, etheric body, constantly. As I'm speaking, it's the physical body that is allowing me to generate sound waves. It is your physical body which is allowing you to listen to those sound waves. Correct? So that is how I mean, for us, mostly when we say life, it is acting through the physical body. Our consciousness at most times is limited to the physical plane. If you talk about an ordinary person who's not aware of spirituality, who's not on the spiritual path, 99.99% consciousness is limited to the physical plane. Another point that is made in these first 3-4 pages is that these are rarely separated. Which ones? The physical body and the etheric double. They are rarely separated. Now, the etheric double, we know from pranic healing, the etheric body, it interpenetrates the physical body. When you saw the diagram, it seemed that inside there is physical plane and the etheric body is outside. So it is outside also and inside also. So the example master gives in the basic class is that it's like a sponge. The physical body is a sponge in a bucket of water. The bucket of water is the etheric body. So the etheric body is inside and outside the gross physical body. Yeah. And so they are rarely separated, and it is not a good idea to do practices which cause them to separate. Also, the etheric body, the purpose of the etheric body is to allow your system to absorb, and it enables the flow of prana in the system. And we know that prana is the life-giving energy. Another point that is made here is that particles of the physical dense body and the etheric body, they they duplicate each other. That's why it's called the etheric double, because each physical particle has a corresponding etheric particle. Each particle. That is the point she's making in the next few pages. So on page 8, there is a little bit that I thought we can read. They are meaning these two bodies are distinguishable by the materials making them into the gross body and the etheric double. The latter, meaning the etheric double, being the exact duplicate of the visible body particle for particle, and the medium through which play all the electrical and vital currents on which the activity of the body depends. So when we talk about the electrical and vital currents, we are talking about prana. Yeah, chi or ki, whatever name we use. So I thought this is one thing to look at. On the next page, on the first paragraph, somewhere in the middle, the name etheric double exactly expresses the nature and constitution of the subtler portion of the physical body, and is thus easy to remember as every name should be. It is etheric because made of ether, double because an exact duplicate of the gross body, its shadow, as it were. Yeah, this is what we had just talked about. On the next page, second line from the top, page 10, man's physical body is composed of matter in these 7 states. Now, here she's talking about the 7 subplanes of the physical plane. Is composed of matter in these 7 states, the gross body consisting of solids, liquids, and gases, and the etheric double of the 4 subdivisions of ether, known respectively as ethers 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm just, pointing this out again. These are the three lowest, and then the next four, these are all etheric. Yeah. So now on page 11, about the middle of the first paragraph. Now, the point here being made is there are several points being made here which are quite important. Number one, just exercises or physical exercises or, hatha yoga. You see, today what has happened is the problem is that yoga now has come to mean just the asana, just the physical exercises. But what the point being made here is just those are not sufficient for spiritual development. You see, always you have to keep in mind when we talk about any theosophic literature, the assumption is the purpose of life is spiritual progress or spiritual development. Yes. So everything is seen from that lens or from that perspective. So what she's saying here is that you just hatha yoga or exercises are not enough for spiritual development. But at the same time, we cannot neglect the physical body, because if we take good care of the physical body, it enables spiritual development. We'll come to that little later. Or if we neglect it, if we take care of it, it will help our spiritual progress. If we neglect it, it can slow down or even completely block our spiritual progress. And another point that is being made here, and she says here, man's bodies are his instruments. This is page 11, first para, somewhere in the middle. The body exists for us, not we for the body. The body is ours to use. We do not belong to it to be used by it. The body needs to be refined, to be improved, to be molded in such a form and made of such constituents as may best fit it to be the instrument on the physical plane for man's highest purposes. So, highest purpose is spiritual development. The purpose of yoga to unite with the higher soul and then to unite with God. So, for that purpose, now for us to be able to, so the right perspective is to treat the body as an instrument. Because once we have that mindset, then we do not allow the physical body to dictate to us or to control us. Rather, we begin to dictate or control the physical body. So there is the story of a saint who shouts at the physical body. He says, "Be quiet, I will feed you later." Because he wants to meditate and the body is saying, "I want food, I want food." I mean, not saying, but the body is generating vibrations which are related to being fed. So he shouts at the body. He says, "No, not right now, later, I will feed you later. Be quiet, don't disturb me." Another point here, which is not in the book, but from my understanding of Master Choa's teachings, of course, the purpose of life is for us to spiritually develop. But in the process, the goal for us as humans, for the entire human race, it is to evolve also the physical body and its particles. And that is why Master Choa in his Arhatic yoga practices has integrated several practices which do that. For example, the Kundalini meditation. And in fact, even if you are not doing Arhatic yoga, if you have done the advanced Pranic Healing course, or if you not, maybe you can buy the book that is given in the advanced Pranic Healing course. There is a beautiful, beautiful chapter on preventive healing. I forget whether it's chapter 3 or chapter 4, something like that, in the advanced Pranic Healing book. It is an exhaustive list of things to keep in mind, how your physical body will help your spiritual progress and how in turn you can help the physical body evolve. Yeah. So my recommended reading, advanced pranic healing, the chapter on preventive healing. All right, let's move on now. On the next page, I found the point that the physical body is a creature of habit. So, what sort of habits are we forming? Now, if these are habits that are unhelpful to our spiritual progress, we need to block them, stop them. And what we are told is that this physical body is such that if we block the habit for some time, it will forget that habit. And if we start forming and strengthening positive habits, by positive I mean those which are helping us with our spiritual progress, then as we form those habits, strengthen those habits, it takes a little amount of time. There is some people say that 3 weeks, if you can do something, you can do it for a lifetime. So something like that. But time is definitely involved. Repetition is involved. If you do that, then that really you know you are sort of putting the physical body in a mode where it is helping your spiritual progress. Now again, my understanding of the whole this situation is that will and awareness are the two essential things. Number one, you need to be aware, this habit not good for me, I need to block it. This habit I need to form because, or I need to develop, I need to strengthen because it is helping me. Then comes, so this was awareness. Then comes will. It is through the application of will that you will block. Because what any Besant is explaining to us is body wants that old habit, whether it is positive or negative. If you have decided to block it, now will is involved. No, I will not do this. And if you're trying to form a new habit, again will is involved because the body will resist. So, I can give you a lot of personal examples. I'm sure you have your own personal experiences. So, for example, I've given up smoking. So, I tried different things. So eventually, it was through will. And of course, Pranic Healing helped. It created the situation where excessive will was not required. Also, when I got into the school of Pranic Healing, which was about 21 years ago, my body had a great deal of stiffness. So when I used to do twin heart meditation and the exercises before that, the body would really resist. It would really complain. And mind you, I was 21 years younger. But still the body would really complain. But, as I persisted for some time, the body now looks forward to those exercises. So I'm sure you have seen examples like that also. Okay, on the next two pages, she is discussing the dense physical body. And now she explains that this has two relevant portions or components or constituents. Number one, the sympathetic systems or the involuntary systems, which are not easily under our control. And the second are the voluntary systems or the voluntary, those which are controlled by voluntary nerves, which are related or associated with mental activity. Through our mind, we can exercise some control on them. So on page 15, she talks about how, the dense physical body is kind of similar to animals because instincts are there, involuntary functions are there. For example, breathing. Now, you don't have to think to breathe, the mind is not involved. As soon as you were born, you started breathing and you will keep breathing, even if whether you are aware of it or not. Same thing with your heart, it's beating all the time. You eat food, the digestive system processes it, whether you are aware of it or not. Right? Now, the point she makes further in this is that for ordinary people, these functions, these involuntary functions, these animal body functions, they are impossible to control. But it is possible to control. It is difficult to control them. But through Hatha Yoga practices, long, hard, dedicated work, lot of discipline, one can control one's breathing. One can stop one's heart from beating. And there are, I mean, I've come across stories, I've not really validated them, of yogis who were checked by, skeptical doctors. And they verified that, yes, this person has stopped breathing for a certain amount of time. This person has stopped, the heart has stopped beating for a certain amount of time. Also, the recommendation is not recommended. Do not spend too much time or energy on trying to control the involuntary nervous system or the involuntary system of the body. The second constituents, which is the voluntary one, where the mind can get involved, where the mind can exercise control, that is much, much more important. You see, so we are now on page 16 to page 19. Let me read a little bit on page 16. This is the beginning of the paragraph. Passing from this meaning the involuntary part, we come to the voluntary nervous system, one far more important for our mental purposes. This is the great system which is our instrument of thought by which we feel and move on the physical plane. You see, a lot of the things, like for example, beating of the heart, only through great difficulty I can control. But for example, the movement of my fingers, if I want to, I will bend it. If I want to, I will straighten it. You understand? If I want to, for example, I close my eyes or open my eyes. So a lot of control is there through the mind. So then she explains what it is. And so this cerebro spinal axis, the brain and the spinal cord, and so on. I hope you've read that. If you have not, please read it. It's straightforward and it sort of agrees with what we know anatomically, right? Now, in the next page, she says, this is the system through which the man expresses his will. Now, again, man, woman, that is not important. The man meaning the incarnated soul expresses his will and his consciousness, and these may be said to be seated in the brain. So, the brain is like, the central processor of a computer. Now, the computer has a screen, it has a keyboard, mouse, this, that, and so on. But the central processor is like the brain in the physical body. The man can do nothing on the physical plane except through the brain and nervous system. If these do not function properly, he can no longer express himself in orderly fashion. Have you seen, some people they lose control of their limbs because of mental degeneration and things like that, or due to disease. So, and sometimes due to accident. So, there we see that because this system is damaged, the expression, if I want to move my legs, but I can't because my spine has got damaged. As an example. Yeah. Now, another point that is made here is that the physical body is there to experience life, to experience a physical plane. It is affected by physical factors. And by controlling the physical factors or by working on the physical factors, we can improve the physical body or we can degrade the physical body. Choice is ours. So on page 18 at the end, second last line, last word, the man is limited in his expression on the physical plane by the capabilities of his physical instrument. Physical instrument, the dense physical body. And that this instrument is susceptible to physical agents. Agents meaning physical influences or physical factors. If these can injure it, they can also improve it, a consideration of vital importance to us. Right? So that is what I had just talked about, that, it's, so this is important, that if it can be improved such that it helps me in my spiritual progress, let's learn about it. Let's work on it. Okay, let's move to the next page. There, this is discussed. She's talking about body is made up of cells. The cells are basically chemicals, but consciousness is embedded in them, or consciousness interpenetrates them. Also, the body has a large number of microbes and bacteria. Very, very large. I mean, somewhere I remember hearing or reading that the number of microbes and bacteria is in the body is actually more than the number of cells in the body. And each of them, I think, is in trillions or billions or something like that. A very, very large number. Some of you may be more aware of this than I am. I just know that there are a lot of them. Also, these are constantly changing. Whether we talk about the cells, whether we talk about the microbes, whether we talk about the bacteria, they are not frozen, they are not fixed, they are not rigid. Cells are dying, new ones are coming in. Same with microbes, same with bacteria. Yeah. Also, an important thing which we sometimes may not remember, we are shedding particles and we are absorbing particles from the outside. Correct? Now, if you just keep in mind, for example, we take in air from the outside. Now, we have remember our dense physical body has a gaseous part. So at least, you can see every minute, several times you are taking in air, you are giving out air. So hence, there is a possibility of improving the quality of the dense physical body. Again, purpose is what? To help with our spiritual development. And in Sanskrit, if you focus on the word Annamay Kosh, the dense physical body, Annamay, it means it is the body that is composed of the Anna, the food particles that we eat. So obviously, by being selective, by choosing carefully what kind of food we eat, we can we can alter, or we can we can improve this. Now just give me a moment, please. So sorry for this interruption. Okay, where were we? So, by being selective, by being careful in the food, you see, normally our selection of food, or many times our selection of food is determined purely by taste or by habit. So, if we are interested in spiritual development, so we want a body that will enable that. Therefore, we need to be careful in food selection. As we eat, what the word I would suggest to you is sattvic. It's a Sanskrit term meaning pure and of an uplifting quality. So, as we consume more sattvic food, slowly the particles of the dense physical body will change. The older ones, which were perhaps not as sattvic, they will slowly get replaced. It takes time, but it is definite. And again, okay, let's read page 21, the last line, the last paragraph, first line. The purification of the dense body then consists in a process of deliberate selection of the particles permitted to compose. So that choice is ours. On the next page, again, a new point is made. This point is that if your body has purer particles, our body's ability to resist external influences will be increased. It's like a strong immune system. A lot of bacteria come, but my body is, or a lot of viruses come, but my immunity is strong, I will resist it. Similarly, if we have been spending time on purifying the body, it will attract less particles and less negative particles, and it will also not give them the space to enter the body. Yeah. And this purification, this process of purification through food is useful. It is, I mean, I would even say it is necessary for higher spiritual development, especially if you are interested in higher psychic faculties. Just to give you my personal example. I'm sorry, we are already late. I thought we will go up to page 32. It doesn't look like that's there. We will just end here today. But I thought this is an important example to share, or maybe useful example to share. When I started pranic healing, I was able to heal people, but I could not scan because my sensitivity was very weak. I was, because I had been a lot of alcohol, lot of non-vegetarian food, mostly food through taste. and more tamasic and rajasic food rather than sattvic food. So I would have no experiences during meditation. I could not scan, of course, no intuition. But slowly, as I kept at it, so I gave up. I've, since then given up non-vegetarian food, and I've become a little selective. It's not that I don't enjoy a pizza once in a while. It's not that I will not have, other kinds of foods. But most of the times, my food will be sattvic. And slowly, what I found is that my meditation, within meditation, my experiences started happening. My intuition started developing, especially as compared as manifest during healing. And even my scanning improved quite a bit. But, just a reminder again, two things: awareness and will. Will is very important, because it is through will that we are able to resist the things that we want to resist, and able to stick to the thing, because sometimes sattvic food is not as tasty. All right, so I think we will end here.